Hello, I'm Simon. Welcome back to the workshop. Now, I was recently lucky enough to be given this jointer by a friend who no longer needed it, but it needs some tender loving care. And this video is all about trying to get this jointer back up to working condition. So let's get tinkering. Now, check that this jointer does actually work and the motor is running okay, but it has a few problems. The first obvious problem is the cast iron bed has got some surface rust on it. I think I can deal with that quite easily. The other problem, which might be a little bit harder to fix, is it doesn't have the fence that came with it. So I'm going to have to build a new fence and fit it to the machine. And the other problem is I've looked online, but I can't find a manual for this machine. So if you've got this machine and got the manual and are willing to copy it for me, then please get in touch. Or if this is a clone of a different machine that you know of and the manual is available online, if you could leave a link to it in the comments section, that would be brilliant. Thanks. So the thing I'm going to tackle first is the fence, because if I can't make a fence, then there's no point in trying to restore the rest of the machine. So I've got some ideas. One is I use this fence. This is an auxiliary fence that came with my table saw, and you can see that it was damaged when it arrived. How it ever got shipped like this, I don't know, but it is actually square on these two edges, so I could fit that here somehow to make a nice fence. The problems I see with that really are, I'm not completely sure this is going to be high enough. I think you probably want something a little bit higher than this is going to be. So another option is to use these old kitchen cabinet sides and fix them somehow to the original bracket. These look to be a little bit too tall, so I probably need to cut these down a little bit. The last option might be to combine this fence with a sacrificial fence that I can cut to the right height, and I think that might work. If you're enjoying this video, then please consider subscribing. It's completely free and would really help me out a lot. If you've got any thoughts or questions about what you're seeing, then leave them in the comments below. This is a hobby for me and I enjoy reading your comments and responding to them. I can normally respond pretty quickly because it's a small channel. Now, I don't know what these are from, but in the absence of nuts that go in the T-slots, I'm going to use them and they'll work perfectly well. And it'll also use up a little bit of stock. The slight problem these have is the thread doesn't go all the way through. So I'm just cutting the thread all the way through so that the bolt can protrude out the end if it needs to. This aluminium extrusion has some cavities in it, and because of the way I'm going to mount it to the fence bracket, it's going to come under compression stress. So I'm going to fill those cavities with some wood to try and alleviate that problem and stop the aluminium from warping when it's tightened to the fence bracket. I'm going to drill 3 holes, one here for this, which will be the main clamp that holds it to the bracket, and then 2 more holes that I'm going to put these threaded inserts in, which is why I filled the cavity with wood. And then these threaded inserts will act as an adjuster so that I can adjust this to be perfectly at 90 degrees. And those adjusters will line up with the slots in the bracket. The original fence bracket has a couple of grooves in it, which I'm guessing we used to register the fence so that it couldn't then twist on the bolt that holds it in place. So I'm going to create a couple of hardwood slides to fit those slots. First I'll mill it roughly to shape, and then I'll finish off with the plane. I drill 3 holes. These will be for the adjustment bolts and for the fixing bolt. So I thought I'd be able to put these threaded inserts through the aluminium and into the wood, but it turns out the aluminium is stronger than the threaded insert, and it's just stripping the threaded insert. So I think what I'm going to do is remove the thread from the threaded insert on the outside. I'll then use some epoxy resin to epoxy it in place. I think that'll work. If it doesn't, I can try something else. I'm very happy with how the adjustment has turned out. It seems to work very easily, and you can adjust it to within a fraction of a degree. So I do have a spare set of blades, but these are cutting really nicely, so I'm going to leave the existing blades in there because I don't want to overcomplicate things and potentially mess up putting those blades in, because I don't have a manual, so I'm not really sure exactly how to set them. That's something I need to research. If you know anyone that might have a manual for this, or if you know where to find the manual, then let me know in the comments. So this was just a quick test run to see how well it worked before I start cleaning the bed. And it seems to be looking pretty good. I'm getting a nice square edge, and it's a very clean cut. I start by giving the surface a clean with my wife's toothbrush and some detergent to get rid of all of the grease and grime. I then move to 80 grit sandpaper and work my way up. 120 grit, 220 grit, 320, and then finally 400 grit sandpaper. Once I've done that, I apply some Brasso to the surface. This is mildly abrasive as well, and it's a bit more of a deep clean. And then I give it a bit of a polish using some machine wax, and then I buff it up using one of our tea towels. The surface still has a bit of a patina and it's nice and silky smooth and slippery now, and that will help with the function of the tool as well. The machine wax is Axminster machine wax. It's the wax I use on all the cast iron surfaces I have in the workshop to keep them rust free and free from staining over the winter. Well, I've really enjoyed myself renovating this jointer. I got to use my lathe, the planer thicknesser, the bandsaw and some hand tools. And I also got rid of some stock that was hanging around and starting to annoy me, such as the broken sub fence that came with my table saw. And I've been able to make good use of that broken part. So overall, I've had a great couple of days in the workshop. If you've enjoyed this video, then please leave a thumbs up and consider subscribing. It's completely free. If you know someone that might enjoy this video, then please share it with them. And I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.